You are listening to The Common Sense Practical Prepper, sponsored by Duct Tape, the real duct tape. It fixes everything, except bad decisions. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America. From border to border, coast to coast, and all ships at sea, here is your host, Keith.
Hey, all, welcome back to the Common Sense Practical Prepper podcast for May the 8th, 2026. And I'm finally getting around to the mailbag issue that I've been promising everybody for about a month. So we'll do that here in just a second. But before we jump into the mailbag episode, I just want to let everybody know that I've started dropping a new fiction series called Lone Man on the Ridge. It's a post-apocalyptic survival story. There's 3 episodes. It's just something I'm kind of making up as I go along. I'm not sure how long I'll do it. It's just something I decided to do. I'm kind of having fun with it. So if you like it, send me an email and let me know. If you think it sucks, send me an email and let me know. So what I'm doing, I'll do a regular podcast, then an episode, a regular podcast, then an episode. So I'm going to do that for, I don't know how many episodes I'm going to do on Lone Man on the Ridge, but we'll just see how it turns out. Just kind of doing it for kicks and giggles. All right, so with that said, let's get into the mailbag episode itself. We got 2 questions. A listener from Ohio says, Keith, I've been listening for a long time now, and I really like your format. You don't do all the doom and gloom like some other channels. You just give it straight, practical information without trying to scare everybody every week. Why did you decide to go this route instead of a fear-based style that seems to get more views and more likes? And a second question, this is somebody from Arizona. With Prepper Camp coming up soon, what made you decide to speak there? And what are you most looking forward to about that event? So thank you for both of those emails. So we'll cover the first one first. If you've been in the prepping space for any length of time, searching YouTube videos, X, other social media, you already know what I'm going to say. The prepping and survival community is absolutely flooded with these over-the-top, fear-driven creators. Titles like World War III will start next week. The Russians just moved missiles to Finland. These are the 5 things that will disappear in the first 48 hours. You're not ready for what's coming. It's just nonstop. That's fear-mongering. Those headlines, rightfully so, grab you like, holy crap, World War III next week? Well, I don't have a thing to wear. What do you wear to World War III? I better listen to what this person is saying. Early on, I actually followed several of those creators, those big dramatic channels. But after a while, I stopped watching them, one, because I just got tired of all the fear-mongering. And it wasn't making me more prepared. If anything, it was making me more anxious about what they proposed was going to happen in the near future. And I realized something very important, that constantly being scared does not make you a better prepper. Constantly being scared and giving in to all the fear-mongering does not help your preparedness at all. Sometimes it just does the opposite. So when I started the podcast 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I can't even remember, I made a conscious decision that I wasn't going to do that. So I don't sensationalize. There's no clickbait titles. I don't do gear reviews. I don't try to scare the hell out of everybody. I just provide straightforward, practical, no BS information that you can actually use, whether it's preparing for a bad storm, loss of job, poor economy, hyperinflation, supply chain hiccup, whatever it happens to be. And going back to gear reviews real quick, if I wanted to do a gear review on a weather radio or a new fire starting kit, there's an excellent chance that I would not be the first person out there that did that review. So why would I waste my time and your time doing a gear review on a fire starting kit when if you search YouTube or other socials, 15 or 20 other people have already done that review. So if you really want to know about the latest and greatest gadget, fire starting kit, tent, backpack, whatever, go ahead and check YouTube and then just take your pick on who you want to listen to. And here's another interesting part about the podcast. It wasn't too long ago that I celebrated 75,000 downloads. And again, it's all because of you. So thank you for that. I'm already at 78, with listeners in 119 countries and 4,512 unique cities. Speaking of cities, I'm going to give a shout out to the 4 new locations that popped in this week. Wilmington, Ohio, Denpasar, did I pronounce that right? In Bali, Denpasar, Napier City in New Zealand's Hawke Bay region. That just sounds like a cool name, Hawke's Bay. And Jarrow in South Tyneside in England. Welcome aboard those 4 new cities. And the fact that we have listeners in Ukraine and Israel, countries that are dealing with real conflict and uncertainty, and they're still choosing to listen to this show really tells me that there is a real audience out there that wants calm, honest information instead of being fed a constant diet of fear porn. Fear porn. And then on the other hand, if you're one of my listeners in St. Bart's, St. Thomas, St. Kitts, or other areas of the British Virgin Islands, what in the world are you doing listening to a podcast? You need to be down there living your best life, toes in the sand, a drink in your hand. Yes, I just went there. The Zac Brown Band reference. They would be proud. Speaking of which, if any of you have an extra chair or cold drink waiting for me, shoot me an email. I will cover the airfare down to the islands. But at the end of the day, I would rather have a smaller audience that actually trusts what I have to say than a huge audience that I keep having to scare every week just to get them to come back. So that's the kind of show that I have. You're well aware of it. That's the kind of show it's going to be. I don't see myself changing how I run the podcast at all. So for the second question, as for Prepper Camp. So Prepper Camp 2025 was my first Prepper Camp. I actually purchased tickets to Prepper Camp 2024, but was not able to attend, so I gifted those to somebody else. Prepper Camp tickets are non-refundable, I believe, but you can gift them to somebody. And last year, I had a fantastic time. 64 different classes. I think I talked about this maybe a week after I got back from Prepper Camp last year. So go back and listen to that episode if you want to hear about Prepper Camp 2025. So Prepper Camp 2026, brand new location, larger location, more amenities, and I'm really looking forward to it. So why I decided to speak there. It's really nice to go to a location, whether it's a conference or whatever, where you're among like-minded individuals, whether it's a ham radio convention, a comic book convention, a classic car show. It's nice to be among people who like the same thing that you do, and in many times, like Prepper Camp, kind of think the way you do as well. Tons of great information, tons of great classes, so I'm really looking forward to it. Now, as far as speaking there, I'm doing Run, Hide, Fight, and I've taught that before. It wasn't taught last year. There's a lot of self-defense classes, don't get me wrong, but this one's a little bit different. So I'm really looking forward to speaking at Prepper Camp 26. Now, again, the new venue, and while I got you here, the tickets are still on sale. So it's a thing called like their Mayflower ticket special. Get it? Mayflower ticket special. Adult tickets for the whole weekend are currently $84.95 if you buy them before midnight, May 31st. After that, it goes up to $119, I believe. So you're saving $35 if you get them now. Once Prepper Camp is announced, they do all of these kind of early bird specials. And the earlier you get your tickets, the less expensive they are. And there's going to come a point where there's a cutoff date. And then after that date, which if I'm reading this correctly, after May 31st, it's $119. At this particular venue, there's RV sites, primitive camping sites for tents, and I believe 2 hotels on site. This place is enormous. Restaurants, plenty of places to eat. And I'm staying in one of the hotels. I have to look at my reservation. I can't remember actually which hotel I'm staying at. But RV sites with full hookup, so you have a camper, that would be absolutely fantastic. And there's a code. If you use Prepper25, you get 25% off your overnight accommodations, whether it's an RV, cabin, or the hotels. So if you're thinking about going, there's still time, discounted tickets, use the code, and you get 25% off your accommodations. And another reason why I'm looking forward to Prepper Camp 26, and it kind of goes back to the first question. There's no hype. There's no doom or gloom there. If I remember correctly, all the classes I went to, everything was very straightforward, very practical, very hands-on. All the presenters were very approachable. Ask them questions before, ask them questions during the presentation, ask them questions after. I know I saw several people talking to some of the presenters once they were finished with their class and their little Q&A at the end, because you need to go ahead and vacate the tent or wherever you're speaking because the next presenter needs to get set up. And, I saw people stop by tents, the vendor tents, talking to some of the presenters. It was a great time. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. All right, folks, thank you for stopping by. As always, thank you so much for all the downloads, for all the listens, for all the emails. Again, folks, it's a crazy world out there. Be careful out there. Take care of one another. And until next time.
You've been listening to The Common Sense Practical Prepper. Subscribe, like, drop a review. Over and out.